we are today. The tragic incidents of the 22nd of April in Baisaran will not be quickly forgotten by anybody, nor should they be. It was a tragedy for the families of 26 people, 25 of our guests, and one of our local young men. It was a tragedy visited on their loved ones and their extended family. But the tragedy spread beyond. It touched every single person in Jammu and Kashmir. For the first time in my memory, people in J&K and particularly in Kashmir came out spontaneously to express their anger and their disgust and their condemnation of what had happened on the 22nd of April. For a moment claim that my government helped to do that. No political party, no organization can say that it was something that they engineered. It was spontaneous, it came from the heart, and the people of Kashmir wanted the rest of the country and the rest of the world to know that this attack was not in their name. It wasn't for them. It wasn't with their consent, it wasn't with their permission, and they were not going to be silent and allow somebody to stamp their mark on this attack and say this was done for the people of Kashmir. In some ways, perhaps we visited this situation on ourselves also in a way. We locals started complaining too much. When we had to go and buy an air ticket for 20,000 rupees, we complained. अब जहाज की टिकटें बहुत महंगी हो गई हैं, कम होने चाहिए. When we got stuck in traffic while going past the tulip garden, we complained. Said, traffic बहुत हो गया है. क्या करनी इतनी गाड़ियों को? Traffic कम होना चाहिए. When we went to Gulmarg and we saw the line for the gondola, and we had to fight to get into it. We said, ये बहुत लंबा लाइन हो गया. इतनी लंबी लाइन की जरूरत क्या है? And so on and so forth. I guess the great power up there heard us and said, okay, fine. You don't want expensive tickets, you don't want a traffic jam, you don't want a queue near the gondola, fine, done. And within hours, all of it disappeared. A ticket that would cost me 20,000 rupees cost me 3,000 rupees. A journey that would take me 1.5 hours suddenly took me 10 minutes. I didn't think that we would see a situation like this in Kashmir again, where we would yearn to see somebody visiting. कहीं डल पे एक शिकारा नजर आए तो हमें लगे कि हाँ, उम्मीद है. When we drove on the highway between Srinagar and Jammu, because the airport was closed, and all the tourist vehicles we saw were going downwards rather than coming upwards. I think that's when I told myself that we really need to be grateful for what we have. It's amazing how quickly things can change. My friends from the J&K tourism industry don't know this. But they actually dodged a bullet in the budget that I presented in the assembly a few months ago. Given how healthy the growth of tourism had been, and the sort of numbers we were talking about and the volume of tourists, I actually felt that perhaps we had reached the point where the J&K government could start earning something from tourism. The way Himachal does and Uttarakhand does and other places do. And I came within inches of putting some sort of tax. Call it a green tax or whatever you wanted to call it. That would have allowed the J&K government to generate some revenue of tourism. But then, voices wiser than mine told me that perhaps not yet. Let's give it a bit more time. And we're pretty much starting from scratch. The other day, while the Honourable Prime Minister was here to inaugurate the rail line, and I'll come to that in a bit. The Honourable Railway Minister, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnav, he asked me, how bad has it been in terms of tourism? I said, you're a numbers man. I'll give it to you in numbers. We used to have more than 50 flights a day. Fares of, as I said, 20,000 and above. And you couldn't get a ticket. Today we have about 15 flights. And you could probably go to the airport and buy a ticket on the spot for any flight going from here. I said, that's one indicator. The second indicator would be a friend's hotel, where I used to have to beg him for an extra night for somebody. Somebody had booked 4 nights, they wanted to stay the extra 5th night, and I used to call him up and say, please, they'll sleep in the bathroom of the lobby, but can you give them one more day? And he would say, okay, I'll see what I can do, I'll manage something. And this was a hotel that was charging you 75,000, 80,000 rupees a night. And they didn't have space. Today you can get a room with all meals included for about 20,000.